Hello, I'm Dick Huebner, President of the Houston Minority Supplier Development Council. Have you ever been so tense and stressed out that you felt you were barely hanging on by your last nerve? Do you ever wish you had a simple plan that allows you to efficiently handle life's curveballs? Do you want to know how to reduce or eliminate those chronic aches and pains that constantly nag at you? If you answered yes to any of these questions, the speaker will powerfully address your concerns. He's a former crew member aboard fast attack nuclear submarines, a Marine officer and naval aviator who flew from the decks of numerous aircraft carriers, and an entrepreneur whose company was recognized by Inc. magazine as one of the 500 fastest growing privately held corporations in America. I've said enough about this awesome person. So please allow me to introduce entrepreneur, author, and completely average golfer, Al Spinks.
Yeah, that's good.
What I'd like to do is, I'd like to ask you a question. Have you ever been driving on one of the freeways here locally, maybe the Beltway, and had someone in your passenger seat, and all of a sudden it starts to rain so hard that you can barely see the front of your vehicle? Okay. So what do? You know, what I do is I reach up and I turn up the windshield wipers to max speed, and typically that doesn't work. So then what you do, you slow down and you hope you don't get rammed in the rear or hit anybody else in the rear, correct? Now, imagine you're in the same rainstorm, but you're in the cockpit of an aircraft. Okay, you're in the cockpit of an aircraft, traveling at 200 miles an hour, and you're getting ready to touch down. Oh, by the way, your landing strip's only 400 feet long. It's bouncing up and down from 10 to 15 feet, and it's traveling at 30 miles an hour. Okay. What I'm describing is my approach to the USS Midway one day in the middle of the Coral Sea. And so I was flying along with the pilot, Marty Brush, and I. We sat in the front. We sit in the front. It was an A6. We sit in the front, and we couldn't see anything. All of a sudden, we hear a voice on the radio that says, 623, call the ball. Now, the voice is from the LSO, and the LSO is the landing signal officer. And his only job in life is to provide directions to the crew in order to give them a safe landing aboard the ship. So, call the ball is carrier talk for, let us know if you can see the landing area and the visual aids we have to help you get there. Well, my response was, 624 is Clara, which means I can't see a ding-dong thing. Okay. So next thing we hear, in a very calm voice, the LSO says, Roger 624, Clara, keep her coming. Keep her coming? Are you crazy? You know, we got 30,000 pounds of fuel and steel ready to run into the back of this sucker. But we've been trained to trust the voice of the LSO because we know he knows what he's doing. So in the meantime, Marty and I came up with a plan. We modified our normal approach procedures, and instead of me providing airspeed lineup information, I looked outside of the canopy, and I looked down, and I said, water, 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 metal. Now, as soon as I said metal, Marty pulled back on the power, and we hoped that the tail hook would grab the arresting gear. Well, I'm here, it did, right? So anyway, so what's the story about? Is it about landing an aircraft on a carrier, an almost impossible situation? Maybe. Is it about the teamwork necessary between, among different resources and trust in these different resources to get a job done, to accomplish your task in the middle of a very difficult situation? Kind of, sort of. Well, how does that pertain to us? How does that apply to us? Well, what I'm here to share with you is that all of us have within us whatever it takes to accomplish our goals, regardless of external situations, okay? And before I'm done here today, I'm going to show you how making a small shift, just a small shift in the way you think about things, can provide major benefits in your health, finances, relationships, and life in general. And I'm going to do it by utilizing this three-step approach. It's based on my 3R framework that will provide you a strategy that will lead you to a worry-free life and drive success in everything that you do. So the first thing we have to do is we have to recognize what do we have in us and how do we make these things in us work together to give us the ability to overcome anything. First, we've got to understand the Spirit. And we can say the voice of Spirit is maybe analogous to the voice of the LSO. You got to learn to trust it. We talk about the mind. Maybe the mind is analogous to the different voices that goes on in our head, and they're talking to each other, and you got to get those voices working together. And maybe it's about the body. And doesn't the body, in the body, the vehicle for carrying the mind and listening to the voice, and maybe we can say that's analogous to our aircraft? Does that make sense? So let's talk about the voice of Spirit. Purpose and function of Spirit is to become our moral compass and to always provide directions towards our ultimate goals and life's purpose. Spirit knows that. No matter how many times we get off course and don't listen to the directions, Spirit will provide us that information in a non-judgmental manner if we just ask. It's like our GPS. It don't care. You know, hey, you go past what I told you, I'm recomputing. I'll get you from where you are to where you need to go. Even though it knows our purpose and what we should be doing, it won't force itself on us. Because it knows our DNA. It knows how much we can take. It knows how much to give us. It knows what we can bear and what we can't. And it's available to us 24/7. The key to dealing with Spirit, the key to communicating with Spirit, is you got to have a quiet mind. You can't be worried about what went on yesterday or what might happen tomorrow. You have to kind of be, what I'll say, in the present moment. And before you think I'm getting preachy at you, you think this is about religion, it's not. Science has recognized that human beings have access to information and knowledge that can't be explained away by human reason and intellect. As a matter of fact, they've created courses of studies in major universities called transpersonal psychology. Check it out. I mean, don't trust anything I say. Check it all out on the internet and look up transpersonal psychology. And it's a secular study of spirit and how this non-material universe communicates with the human being. It's the same voice that gives us these aha moments when we're sitting down and we're working and we have a problem, and maybe we're just chilling, we're taking a hot shower or doing something that we enjoy, our mind is at ease, and all of a sudden we get insight on how to do this. That's the voice of Spirit talking to us. It's a small, quiet voice, and again, it only talks when we are quiet and when we're at a point where we can listen to it. But it doesn't care. It'll continue to give us the information we need. So it's not just me who talks about Spirit. Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs says, hello. Steve, I'm sorry, man. I don't know what happened. Steve said, Spirit is almost the only thing. Okay? Listen to the voice of Spirit. It truly knows who you are and what you want to be. He's not saying that life will be easy. He's saying when you listen to Spirit and you do what Spirit tells you that fulfills your purpose, you're going to be at peace, whatever circumstance and situation you deal with. Okay, purpose of Spirit is to provide us direction. Purpose of mind, simple. It's to support and protect us by giving us the ability to reason and figure things out for ourselves. Okay? Mind, as we all know, our mind is very powerful, complex, got a lot of voices going on, some saying you can, some saying you can't. Our goal is to get those voices talking to each other and helping us to accomplish our task. The mind is a very good thing when it comes to figuring out, I'll say, mundane things like how to create a budget to make my money last to the end of the month, or how to schedule everything I need to do between now and the end of the month so I get everything done. But we shouldn't rely on the mind in all cases. And the reason is that the mind is home to our thoughts. And if you're like me, some of the thoughts that enter into my mind, I don't need to share. You know, they're not all worthwhile, nor do I want to communicate all of them. So why is that important? Our thoughts, our mind supports our beliefs. And our beliefs are nothing more than thoughts we think over and over and over again. And all of a sudden, it becomes a belief. It doesn't have to be true, but the mind will accept it as a belief. Dr. Tim Benson, who is a psychiatrist and teaches at the Harvard School of Medicine, I heard him speak one time, and he said, Al, the mind is so powerful that, and it wants to support you so bad that it will find information to support your beliefs, even if that information doesn't exist. Okay? Our mind's job is to support us, protect us, finding what we need to support, finding what it needs to support who we are and what we believe. So therefore, it influences how we experience life. However, sometimes we're wrong. Back in the time of the Middle Ages, back in the time from the Greeks up through the Middle Ages, it was believed that the earth was the center of the universe, and everything revolved around the earth. The moon, the stars, the solar system revolved around the earth. And the best scientific minds of the day supported and believed that function. Well, of course, we all know that's not true now. But they believed it so much that during the times of the Inquisition, they were willing to put people to death for having an opposite belief. Better yet, has anybody ever here went on a course of action that they started on a course of action that they knew would work? And after a lot of time, money, and effort, found out they were wrong? Mark Twain says, it ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that ain't so. Okay, so the purpose of the mind is to implement the plans provided by Spirit